gets memed on, like super hard.
Can you do this song?
No, I can play it for you. I can send you a video. I know what it sounds like.
No, don't send me a video. I mean, like,
I can't. It's like
okay. No, but you have to do it. You have to do it with a Peter voice.
Yeah, I can't. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay,
I don't know what it sounds like.
Okay, what songs can you do with a Peter voice?
I like Peter Griffin though. Do I?
I like Peter Griffin. I think Peter's hilarious. I think Peter.
That's somebody to do some Swedish shit, like talking about Swedish shit. I'm just saying, like, in the future.
Swedish shit, like
me talking Swedish and then you learning some Swedish, and I'm pretty sure you'll nail it, bro. I feel like I can teach you. I'm not saying that the goal isn't to like show you that you can speak it. I just think it'd be fun to speak Swedish with you, and
I think it'd be fun too.
Teach you some words, and then you could just be like, oh, okay, cool, and then
I can teach you Trini.
Wow, that actually hurt my fucking soul. My ancestors are rolling, bro. On my mom's side, obviously.
Hello and welcome to the Innocent Podcast. This is episode 0, the pilot episode. And that there is my good buddy, Rare. And I am Q. And we are here. And we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk. And this is the first episode. And all that kind of good stuff. And la-di-da and swiddle. Rare, how you doing, buddy?
Yo, bro, what's up? I'm good. How you doing, Q?
I don't know. I did kind of start the episode without telling you anything, which is great. I mean... quality.
Yeah, why did you?
I
hate you.
When people jump on podcasts with me, they never know what's gonna happen. I think that's the important thing. I think you should always have your guard up because you never know. Maybe I'll do something interesting like this. And so I did do something interesting, and you liked it, didn't you?
You're terrible. You're a terrible human being.
In a nice way, aren't I? In a nice way. In a very.
Yeah. I have to say though, real quick,
mm-hmm.
I'm actually impressed with the background.
I know, right? And I literally just whipped that up. Like literally just whipped that up just before we started. So like
yeah, we were
just
I was just talking, but
you were I mean you were playing a game and I was doing all the work.
I was hard at work. What do you mean? Don't tell them that.
Bullshit. You were playing a game and I was busy making this shit work. And you were sitting down there playing your damn video game and all that kind of lubblers, and I was making it happen, because I don't want to toot. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I like to do it. So yes.
Wow, that sounds
yes.
Not Christian-like,
I mean, are we Christians though?
But we're pretty innocent. I would say that. I mean,
I'm the innocent one. I don't know about you.
Anyways, for those of you who don't know, the GIF, like for those of you who are probably watching on Spotify or some other website that we have our podcast
Spotify will
on,
just have audio, so they won't actually see anything.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. That you guys probably won't see the GIF, but I could just give you a brief mind example. It's that scene in if you obviously haven't watched this anime, I guess is it an anime? We need to talk about this if this is actually considered an anime or not. But if you haven't seen Cyberpunk, Edgerunners. The GIF is basically the scene where she it's like episode 2, I think, and she's taking the main character's body on the stroller. Is that episode 2?
I thought that was episode 1, wasn't it?
No, 1 is just the whole. Obviously, spoilers, guys, and spoilers ahead. This is like your final warning, I guess. But spoilers ahead.
Save yourselves!
Yes, run away now. Mute the podcast, watch the show, and then come back to us so you can see full Cyberpunk action. Anyway, so it's a scene where you have these this chick, and she's like, every like anime kind of intro, it's always going to be like kind of intense and there's so much going on, and it's a scene basically where she like kidnaps the main character and
the main husbando.
Yes, the main husbando of dreams, and then she basically takes him on the little what does she do actually? She kidnaps him off of the.
Did she really kidnap him, or she sort of like?
Because he's like, does she have insurance? And she's like, nah. And it's like, oh shit. And then she just busts through the door, like out of the freaking ambulance.
But in a sense, she's not kidnapping him. She's saving him, isn't she?
Yes, she is actually saving him.
So you can't say kidnap him. She saves him from the ambulance people.
Yeah, kinda. Anyways, but yeah, you guys for those of you know who've watched it, you guys know what we're talking about. But yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Exactly, and that's what I'm here for, to just correct you when you're wrong. Just to remind you, just to keep reminding you of how wrong you are and how right I am. I think that's the most important thing. So,
so those cheeks though, I'm actually kind of.
She do be having some cheeks though, yes.
But she, let's get clear what episodes we're on, and well.
Okay, so you're on episode 6. I've finished the series already. All right. So
I think I'm. Yes,
when you say you're on episode 6,
when
you say you're on episode 6, what was the last thing you remember happening?
They basically, the big dude basically got caught, and he like shut the whole place down, and his girlfriend died, and they basically made a getaway in the car, and he got the gloves from the guy, the big.
So it's when Main starts tripping off, right? So Main starts tripping off.
And, he got Main's gloves. And,
yes, very nice, very nice. So Main starts tripping off, and that's about where you are, right? So that's episode 6.
He's dead. Main is dead. Which sadly, I thought Main is hitting me. If you guys haven't watched JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen, that is. Main gives me and this is maybe not. I'm not going to say spoilers, but some slight character development thing. But Main is very similar to a character called Todo in JJK, who is like probably one of my favorite anime characters of all time, because he's just, his personality and how he decides he's going to be friends with you or enemies with you is your taste in women. And it's such a hilarious. Have you seen
a man of culture? I haven't seen, to be honest, I've seen Jujutsu Kaisen, but I have not, like, I've probably seen like maybe like 3 episodes. So I am I meant to continue watching. I meant to like watch Jujutsu Kaisen, and it looked like, because it was my kind of anime. It's shonen. It's got some some potential, some waifu potential in there. I was like, this could be good.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't stuck with Jujutsu Kaisen, I was just like, well, too many things going on. Didn't have the time to watch it, but maybe I'll get back to it. That's one of those anime that's like in my anime list that I'm like, maybe I'll get back to it, but haven't so far. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing. So yes, Main having a very good waifu taste is a high perk for him as a character. He does have good taste in waifus as a character, right?
Yep.
So
he does.
Cyberpunk, we started watching this as a group. Like, I started watching this with you guys. We and the boys watching it, or what did you call the watch along on Discord? What were we calling it?
So basically, I have this Discord channel. Well, in my Discord channel, in my Discord server, I should say, we have the Discord channel that's called Hentai with the Homies.
I was like, I'm not doing that.
I thought that was the best name ever. We've been thinking of like lots of names for the podcast and for I think I'm just great at naming. And
what was the name you wanted? Was it because you came up with a second name? So you came up with this name first. You came up with the Instant Podcast as the name, yes. And then I like this name, and then you came up with a second name after. What was the second name you came up with?
The Dada's Podcast. should we even be leaking this stuff? This could potentially be, No,
I think it's fine. It's fine. Dada's Podcast, yeah.
Like the After Dark. It could be like the After Dark version, the
After Dark,
the not innocent podcast.
It's one of the things you have to consider too as well. Like, no matter how good the name of your podcast is, someone else has probably told about it already. Like, I'm pretty sure if we Google almost any podcast name, right, someone else has already taught about it. The thing is, it's not about having the same name. It's just like YouTube channels. Like, you could come up with a YouTube channel, and 9 times out of 10, someone else already has the same name. The only thing you can do is be the best at that name. Like, if you are the best, you'll be on the top. And that's all that matters. So, no matter what the name is, it's just about being number 1, baby. And that's it. Everything else will fall smoothly into place.
All right, okay. That's all. Q is actually the podcast guru. So, I'm just under his wing. As
you're like a little dove.
As he's under my...
You're like a little dove, and I'm training you in the right ways, This is how you do.
Yeah. I'm under your dove wing. I'm actually a big ass crow that's willing to...
Crow my ass. You're a kobo. You're a kobo.
That's even bigger. That's even bigger. What do you mean, bro? You just upgraded me from like level 2 to fucking level 3 kobo, like from crow to kobo.
Exactly. Is kobo like a
it's like a vulture, basically.
Yeah, because isn't kobo isn't that like a Trini wood?
That is a Trini wood. It's maybe should we say it to this
I
podcast?
mean, we are both Trinis, right? Like,
yeah, child. So basically, I'm half Swedish and Q is half.
no, I'm just Trini, man. What are you talking about?
No, I was gonna say you're half bitch, but got it. No, but yeah, no, we're both from Trinidad. Like, well, actually, I was born there, but I actually grew up in Tobago. So technically, we're like representing both Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, definitely.
Properly.
Definitely.
Because
I mean, I like, represent better, but you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Sure. And then my dad is from Gothenburg or from Sweden, which people don't know this, but Gothenburg is not Gotham City. It's not called Gotham City. It's not a place in Batman or in DC. It's actually a real place. Some people actually are like, "Oh shit, it's like Batman's place." Like, no.
It is Batman's place.
I'm Batman. You know? No, but I'm Batman. I'm actually more Bane than Batman, but. So
Batman's cousin Harry.
Let's talk about Cyberpunk. So overall, how are you feeling? Like, obviously, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes. I've heard many mixed feelings of this, and we'll have to talk about this on our next episode. We'll have to
obviously, because you haven't finished yet. So we're not. I will say we're talking about the show up to episode 6, and then the next time we do an episode. So this podcast is going to be double weekly, however you want to call it. It's going to be twice a week. One on Sunday and one on Wednesday is going to be the episodes. And it's going to start from 8 p.m. GMT. BST, British Central Time, I think. For Europe time, it would be like 9 p.m. Central European Time. That's where you for you would be like 9 p.m. So that's generally where
GMT +2 is what I would say for GMT +2 at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, that's not fortnightly. Fortnightly is a fortnight is basically every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Yeah.
So you can't say fortnightly, right? That does not make sense in the scope of things, right? But yes. As that being said, right? I'm reading the chat, by the way. By the way, if you guys want to, those who listen to this podcast and post or maybe listening on a podcast application. This is going to be live streamed every week, twice a week, on YouTube. And if you want to check it out, you can just search for us with the Innocent Cast on YouTube, or you can find a YouTube channel which is called Simply Otaku, and then follow us there, and then you'll be fine. You know, follow the podcast playlist. It will have everything on there, and you'll find me and Ray there sitting down waiting every week until the day comes. You know, we have nothing else to do.
Yeah, boy.
We're not doing it every 2 weeks. We're doing one on Wednesday and one on Friday on Sunday. That's it. So literally every week we'll be doing one on Wednesday, one on Sunday.
If anything, we might have to if let's say worst case scenario where we won't be able to we'll try and definitely upload once a week. That's the goal. 2 weeks is our
two per week, and
2 per week. Sorry, is our actual goal. But worst case scenario, we'll just have the one on maybe on Sunday, or depending on what day would be better. But let's say if we couldn't make it on Wednesday, we just try and maybe do like an extra long one on Sunday, maybe, or maybe start earlier. I'm not too sure how we're gonna sort that out, but I do think. I suggested this for you guys who are listening, obviously. But I do think that's, if we have a podcast, most podcasts, they always do it on like a Friday or whatever day podcasts do their days. There's obviously a podcast for each day, right? But what I was thinking is, we'd have a podcast for you guys who are able to make it live on Sundays. Where it's not too late, you're ending the week, or I guess it's technically Sunday's like the start of the week for some people, but for most people, they're ending the week, you're on the weekend. And I wanted to have a podcast day where we're doing it on the weekend, and then one for the middle of the week where, all the grind is happening, and you're in the middle of the week and you just want to hear our very awesome voices, especially Q's with his British accents.
I don't know, man. I'm reading the comments though, and Chris is saying in the comments, he says, don't watch much anime anymore. Feeling like an old man now. Look, Chris, we all feel like old people, because I think after you get to a certain point in life, you just don't get as much time to watch anime. So, or just do any of the things that you like doing when you were younger, because you have responsibilities and shit. So that's a normal thing. But yeah, back to the Cyberpunk stuff. All right.
Wait, I need to touch on that. I completely agree with you as well. Just real quick. definitely when you get to our age,
Mhm.
we sound like boomers. Like we just lost like half the population of potential viewers. Like I know many people who
Nah,
are younger are like, oh man, these guys are like what 30?
they're like
Boomers.
they're like old people.
Ew, you guys stink. Get out
Old
of here.
people.
Oh God, who invited you guys to these? Do you even know what a podcast is?
Mm.
No, but
This
yeah,
is radio.
definitely. This is radio. No, but I definitely think, in my opinion, like time, like I definitely like anime a bit less nowadays, which is funny because the podcast is about anime, but I've been trying to watch it with the homies and get back more into it because I've seen a fair bit of anime, but to be honest with you, I feel like my take on anime now might be way more different because I would understand more subtle things. I do have like a preferred taste. Like my anime taste is not it's pretty broad. For example, I actually like slice of life now. Before I would
Because of
only
me?
like to watch shonen. No. This is like way before you. Actually, my first slice of life that I properly liked was just real quick was Lucky Star. I know we're supposed to be talking about Cyberpunk, but it's like a little bit off of
I mean,
Cyberpunk. But
this is the pilot episode to a certain extent. So like we are still
Yeah.
getting the hang of doing this together, as well as just sort of like getting the ball rolling on this thing. So this is for anyone who's ever seen a podcast or seen any of my podcasts. The past episode was like the test episode. It's like to make sure that we have all the stuff working. It's to test like our audio sounds good, that we got all the software and everything working properly and stuff like that. So that's what this episode is the pilot episode essentially. But then once we know we have everything done, so once this episode is out and we've got everything working and we know how our schedule is going to work and we have everything ironed out, from there episode 1 should be perfect. It should be smooth. We'll stake the topic as to what we're supposed to be talking about. So feel free to like just go off to just go on a tangent essentially. I think also what makes podcasts great is when every now and then you go off on tangents. I think people like that.
I do. I would say me personally, I have like terrible focus. Like I will switch topics as soon as possible. But even though inside I want to stay on this topic at hand, but yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Like having a little bit of switch up, like watching you do podcasts before. You guys should really go check out his channel by the chat. Like you guys, if you guys haven't seen his other podcast, would you like to mention that podcast real quick, maybe?
Oh, that Beautiful Life podcast, yeah, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. I mean, I've done quite a few podcasts over the years, so like. Yeah, I've been podcasting for quite some time, if you know what I'm saying. I'm like back in them days,
He's basically a T-Rex of podcasting. He's literally he should be fossilized at this point. He should be like out of commission, but somehow he's still going. His heart is still beating.
It's still in it. I mean, to be frank, I do love doing podcasts though. I honestly do enjoy podcasting. Like I've done quite a few things over the years, and I think for me, podcasting has been one of the things I have enjoyed. I will say recently I have fallen a little bit out of love with podcasts because editing, while having other responsibilities and stuff like that is just a chore essentially. But finding a new way to do it, like no, doing it live and just like not giving a shit and just putting out whatever we get. And so I think that's making it like we would not have done this podcast if it wasn't live because I just would not have the energy or the time to edit this properly. So
100%.
Having it as a live where we could just just spitball whatever we have to say, put it out there, and it's up. It works.
And I really try to push it so we can do it today. But no better time like the.
You did push me. You did push because I was saying let's do this like let's do this. Well, let's do Wednesday then, and you're like no. You're gonna say just do Wednesday, and then you're gonna find a way out of it. Let's do it now, leveler. And I was like, okay, fine then.
Yeah.
Like. So we just got into it, so I mean I probably would have found a way out of it, I'd be like, well, something came up,
But that's sadly that is adulting, I guess, that's just a part of
sometimes you just have to spend time scratching your nuts and you don't have time to do podcasts. There's a thing. Touche. Yes.
I have to say, yes, I also sorry, chat. Yes, my anime choice is actually I love dark anime, like as like gore, psychological, I really I like gore. I like horror movies, so by default my default mode is to always try and watch as much gore as possible. I don't go and watch real life gore, just to be clear. I don't watch like snuff films and shit. But But when it comes to anime or like series, like I love The Boys. I mean, we're going to probably be able to talk about that on this podcast as well.
We can, because The Boys has a comic book one,
yes,
so it fits in the thing. And I've also seen all of The Boys, and I love it too. So cool.
So we'll have probably a Boys episode. We'll probably mix it up, but I guess the main focus is anime. Let's talk about Cyberpunk real quick. So we were discussing this, and I think this is a great episode to discuss this. We'll probably bring this up later because I do want to have a question of the day thing. And when I say question of the day, is like I think for every episode of the podcast and podcasters, maybe podcast listeners, I should say. Are they called podcasters? What do we?
No, they're called listeners. You just call them listeners.
You just call them listeners. Okay. Yeah. So listeners, sorry, this is my like.
It's his first podcast, guys. Be gentle with him. He doesn't know.
Yeah, so listeners, I'm suggesting to Q on live here right now for you guys. I'm basically just pulling this stuff out of my backpack, and I'm trying to make one rare joke every now and then on stream. But one subject or like one question of the day question, I do think for me personally, obviously if you guys are sitting and listening from like Spotify, you won't be able to answer this. But if you have like one question of the day per podcast, like a major question where people can kind of take home and let it sink in. And this question would be, the question I'm going to ask now, what would you categorize?
Did you say isn't it categorize?
Categorize Cyberpunk. Would you consider Cyberpunk a anime? Because for me, the feeling, the plots, and the art style are very anime, though. And I think even the studio. Do you know the studio by chance, Q?
It is an anime studio actually. So the studio behind Cyberpunk is Studio Trigger. They're the ones behind things like some of the anime they've done is like Kill la Kill. And
they did Kill la Kill.
They did Kill la Kill, and you can actually see it in their style. I mean, just looking at Cyberpunk, you can tell it's Studio Trigger. And also, I think what they're more known for, like when people talk about Trigger, and you're like, oh, do you know Studio Trigger, right? I think what most people, I mean, you think Kill la Kill, but they're known for one other series. I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. It's not frack. If someone would help me, bloody hell, it's not coming to mind. But they're known for there's one of the anime that they've done that isn't Gurren Lagann. I think it's how it's called, Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann.
I think that's it. I think it's Gurren Lagann. I think they did Gurren Lagann as well. If I'm correct, I'm not 100% sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Studio Trigger they also did Gurren Lagann. If someone in the chat knows that, they can correct me and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I do remember something like that. I do remember they did Gurren Lagann as a I can't remember. How do you spell Gurren Lagann? I found it already. I've already Googled it. Gurren Lagann is by, let's see. No, it's not a different studio. It's Gainax.
Right.
I would think there's some connection between Studio Trigger and Gurren Lagann though. There is a connection between those two studios. I'm not sure what it is.
Maybe it's a movie or something. I don't know.
Maybe it's a director or something. Maybe someone from the team who worked on Gurren Lagann, they created their own studio and called it Trigger or something. I don't know. Something like that. Because, yes, the style is very similar. It's a very similar style. So it's the same people who did that. So for me, I would say Cyberpunk is hella anime, right? The style is very anime. The studio who made it is a Japanese studio. Trigger is a Japanese studio, if I'm correct. Studio Trigger. So they're known in the anime space. They pretty much just make anime shit, right? And then also it's, if you go to my anime list, it's listed on there, right? So it's listed on there as a ONA, which ONA in anime is, what does that stand for again? ONA is, I'm just gonna search. ONA anime is original net animation, right? That's what ONA stands for, right?
Right. Okay.
And so it is essentially, like, as far as I'm concerned, if you're on my anime list and you're listed in there and all that kind of stuff, and also you're made by a genuine anime studio, then you bloody well anime. That's it.
Okay.
Anime.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I would say it is an anime, but
It
if I
also
had to
has,
show one of my friends who
Mhm.
aren't into anime, I probably would tell them it's not an anime and then show them the dub version. You know what I mean?
Also
Like I feel
this.
like I
Mhm.
feel like I can fly this under the non-anime radar for all of those people who are like, ugh, anime, nah, that ain't for me. I'm too busy with my active sex life to watch that, you know? And it's like, bro, you're just cringe. Watch it and stop being a dumbass, you know?
I think you could. I think you could possibly get it past people like that.
I would say so, right?
You could possibly do that. The only thing I would say is that it is anime though. It's straight up anime because other than that too, it. I mean, if you also check the my anime list page, I think it's made like the original voice acting and stuff. It is Japanese. The only thing that makes it Western, I would say, or non-anime, is that it also happens to be, I guess, licensed or produced by CD Projekt Red. So CD Projekt Red is the owner of the Cyberpunk 2077 brand, and so they're actually the ones who are behind this thing. And Trigger, I guess, are doing the animation and getting everything looking pretty and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is. This is straight up anime for me. I understand why some people might say it's not anime, but I call it anime. Straight up, it's anime.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
So yeah, so that's mhm.
I have there's a question in chat that I think is good. Maybe both of us should answer it.
Mhm.
And the question is, what's your favorite dark anime? Would you like to introduce that
Mine
one? Do you have one?
favorite dark anime. Let me
Uh-huh.
see. Do I have a favorite dark anime? I mean, I do have a list of favorite. Like when you say dark, like you talking like it has to be like gritty people dying and all that kind of stuff, or does it have to just be like the sort of like subject matter is dark, like it's emotionally heavy?
I would say both, but I mean, it's up to you, really, isn't it? Like if you
Like
tell me something
if
that's
it's
like, man, I think
mhm.
I don't know, I think Evangelion Neon Genesis is dark, you know? I wouldn't disagree with you. I wouldn't say it's dark, like the darkest shit ever, but to a degree, maybe, you know, if you I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm not gonna spoil it, but
No,
yeah.
I haven't seen it. But for me, I guess if it was like emotionally dark, then it would be Nagi no Asukara, which is one of my top 5 favorite anime of all time. So it would straight up be Nagi no Asukara, which
I
or
haven't seen that one.
it's I think the English name is A Lull in the Sea. It was on Netflix at one.
A lull in the sea.
A Lull in the
LUL?
Sea, yeah, ALUL, ALUL in the sea.
Oh,
So it was originally Netflix is where I saw it, but I believe
right, okay.
I don't think Netflix still has the license for it, so you'd probably have to find somewhere else. But
Right, okay.
essentially that was my first dip. Like in that was great. That's a masterpiece for me. Like hands down, A Lull in the Sea is a masterpiece. But it's
Boondocks. Sorry.
Boondocks. Boondocks is not a dark anime. The thing about with A Lull in the Sea though, it's got really dark subject matter. Like it's emotionally heavy, but it's
Okay,
not.
I see what you're
It's
saying.
not really. But it's a pretty looking anime. Like it looks very pretty. But as you go along, the story starts off really nice, slice of lifey. That's how it hooks you basically, and then it gets heavy.
That sounds very interesting. I will have to check that one out. Maybe we can talk about it someday.
We could definitely. I would love if you checked it out. It probably is still on Netflix for some regions, but I don't think it's in all regions. Like at least for me, I don't think it is. Let me check Netflix. Let me see if it's gonna show up. Because when I search it, it's coming up on net. Yeah, it says Netflix says pardon the interruption. I wonder if it says pardon the interruption in other regions. Like, do they actually write it that way for Netflix? It says this title cannot be played because it exceeds the maximum maturity rating set to your ooh.
That's just you then, buddy.
That may be me. You know what?
You have chibis, so
yeah, I
know
did. I did actually log into Chibi's profile, so that's probably why. Let me go back.
If you guys don't know, and for all the other listeners, chibis is just a slang word for children.
You don't need to explain that to the chat. They're anime people. They know these things. Oh, it is on Netflix. You can watch on Netflix has it for me. So yeah, check Netflix. Nagi no Asukara or A Lull in the Sea. You'll find it on Netflix.
We'll definitely go check it out then.
It's weird to watch. It is heavy. It's got some heavy subject matter. What about you? What's your favorite?
Mine is actually see my 2 favorite anime are both dark animes, so it'd have to be both of them, I guess. I don't have favorites. they both basically feel the same goodness that I feel. And I might get some shit and criticism for this because I feel like the anime community do judge you severely on your top anime or top 5 anime or whatever. But my favorite anime, I would say, is Elfen Lied.
Oh,
in
shit,
no specific
really?
order.
That one? Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
I actually, I have a story about Elfen Lied, but I'll tell you after. Go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and Mirai Nikki, which in English is Future Diary.
Future Diary.
Which is if people don't know, it's the Yuno Gasai anime. It's the one with Yuki. 24/7 Yuki, you know. Which I actually think Yuno Gasai is such a funny character. Like, or not funny, but her psychoticness is... I think the only thing that I've seen that is... Well, they've done a lot of good, like, psycho... Like, even in Cyberpunk currently, I think like the way they show people going insane...
Cyberpunk is really edgy.
Because the only other show that I was going to say that really hits the nail on, you know, like... How to put it? You know, when back in the day you would look at certain characters like Harley Quinn, Joker, you know, like these kind of characters, and they're like just assholes or villains, and they're crazy. Usually, like, they're actually not just only psychopaths, but they are actually like full on crazy sometimes. And Arcane's Jinx, we really like. If you haven't watched Arcane, Jinx is, I would say, arguably one of the best portrayals. I would say the best because I haven't seen, you know, a lot of anime and a lot of shows. But the way they display it is really well, and I wish they did that kind of for, you know, Gasai. They do show a little bit of it in Mirai Nikki without spoiling anything, but oh, I guess that is kind of spoilery, but But that being said, I really like it. I like the darkness of it. And yeah, tell me about Elfen Lied or Elfen Lied, or however you pronounce it.
I say Elfen Lied, but Elfen Lied, if you want to call it that. I don't really care how it's pronounced essentially. And I will say as much because I'm seeing the comments and it's like, oh, that's not dark. Honestly, like, I generally don't. I like slice of life stuff. Like, I don't really like watching heavy stuff. Life is pretty shitty as it is already. Like, I don't need all that extra, like, you know, like more business. Yeah, and wait, I don't need that in my, like, when I sit down to like enjoy media, I want to just enjoy the media. I want to just, and I'm not saying that people who watch dark anime don't enjoy it. I personally find it heavy because then when I watch it, sometimes I you watch it and I get depressed after. You know, like, I'm like, ugh.
Damn.
Like, my favorite character got killed. You know, it's horrible. You know, like, I remember watching what do you call that show, that series, Walking Dead. And when they killed off my favorite character, I couldn't watch. I was like, I wasn't watching telly for like a week. I was like, this is stupid.
Damn.
I hate this shit.
Who was your favorite character in Walking Dead?
The Asian guy, who was like a runner or something.
Wait. Should we say spoilers? Spoilers, 10 seconds?
That show's been out for long enough, man.
Yeah, I don't know, like, yeah. Anyway,
this is a spoiler podcast. Glenn, that's his name, Glenn. And the thing is, no, most of the stuff I like to watch, like, I like to watch stuff where I can ship characters. I like to put characters together, let them kiss each other, marry her, like her. You know, that's my kind. That's where I get off when I watch my anime. And Glenn had his girl, and they were great, and everything was awesome, and
it was working out, and they fucking then they had him like they had like a little choral as well right before, and then they were like. And he was sick, and she was sick. She was sick, like really sick as well, if I remember correctly. Like if you don't know, chat, like obviously post-apocalyptic scene that Walking Dead is. There's no doctors readily available with full-on healthcare and all that other shit. Like obviously you're gonna get sick from like the smallest thing might actually wipe out the whole camp of humans, and I'm pretty sure that has happened in the show. Not that they have showed it on media, but if you use your little imagination, I guess you could imagine that something like that would probably happen. I see that. I actually really like Dan as well. He was a very likable character. I actually thought they were gonna. Who did you think they were gonna smash? Because I remember that was like the cliffhanger of the fucking century. There was like not even Game of Thrones had a cliffhanger like that. Like that was cliffhanger. That was so. You remember every Comic Con and everything, and they just had to stay quiet, man. Do you remember that?
I don't remember. I wasn't keeping up with. To be honest, I don't really follow a lot of the news around shows that I like because I hate spoilers. So I tend to like I'll just watch it in like I don't know, like just like watch it on my own accord. But when it happened, I remember because I was watching it at the same time Roger was watching it because we were watching it like around the same time. We used to talk about it every week on the podcast, That Beautiful Life. And I remember watching it and getting to the point where it happened and I was like, oh. Oh my god! Like I remember getting on the podcast and telling Roger, I can't watch this anymore. Like I'm good. Like they don't need me anymore. They don't need my kind around these parts. You know, it was just it was that bad. It was that, like I was emotionally distraught after losing him. Like I was like, no, my guy, why did you do this to us?
They could have almost killed Rick over Glenn, and we would have been happy.
Definitely,
the only other person we wouldn't want, I would argue, is Daryl. I think if we lost Daryl, I think the biggest fan base would have just.
I think Daryl and Michonne, because the two of them, like they were two badass characters. Like I think,
they carry a lot.
They carried the whole team for quite a long time. So I think for the most part, those were the two characters that were like the biggest fan favorites. But but I think Ben was easily one of the fan favorites, especially because of how he started off as like a little bit wimpy and all that kind of stuff, and then he grew into his own. Like he was the team runner.
But you know that like without Glenn, there wouldn't be Rick.
Yeah, well, of course not, because he saved Rick.
He was the first person to save Rick.
Yeah.
Like, well, I know technically Morgan was technically. Because Rick woke up and he was just like, "What the hell is going on?" Right?
This is to the Walking Dead podcast.
Well, I mean, this is a show. This is a series / movie / anime podcast, right?
Well, it's otaku enough. So like I think another dark anime I like is Hellsing. I think Hellsing is pretty chill.
I actually haven't seen Hellsing, but I do know what it's about, and I've seen some scenes, and it looks really good.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't gotten around to it because of the age of it. I think like the age of the show.
Like how old it is?
Yeah.
Hellsing's animation stands up, man. Like you.
I think it does as well. I don't know. I just
check it out.
Something just looks a certain way.
If you like dark anime, you'll like this one. It's super cool. Hellsing is awesome.
I know about the blonde girl. Like, is she a cop or something? And he saves her. And that's like pretty much.
She's got massive jugs and
she's got but she got those big old what I call this chat on
big old BDs.
Listeners.
Sorry,
she's what I call big old fish titties, bro. The big old anime fish titties, bro. They're just flopping around, bro. They're like each of them is like a blue whale and a half, It's just like they just flop around. They're all there. They're all in your face. The shirt is tight as fuck. Like no shirt should ever be able to stretch like the way that her shirt does. Mm-hmm. And it's just because that's the old anime style. I actually dig it. I'm not hating on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's how I, as you guys probably would grow to know that I have a very specific taste in anime, but I'm actually down for a lot of shit. Like I'm the kind of person that I wouldn't just knock a show completely off.
I say you don't judge things. I think for me, judge not least you be judge yourself at the end of the day. And I think live and let live. Let everyone who likes specific things let them like that, and those who like other things let them like that as well. But I think it's a certain way in sense like your likes shouldn't infringe on other people's likes, and then after that, everything is fair game as far as I'm concerned. So
no, you need to eat all your food. Okay, sorry.
But here's the thing, though, right? The story about Elfen Lied before we get back to Cyberpunk. So
right.
I initially didn't plan to see Elfen Lied. I saw Elfen Lied because of a girl, and this is the thing about I think with almost most things that men do in life is because of a girl. Right?
Because of a girl.
Men do a lot of things because they're girls. Like that's just how it is. And I was in secondary school at the time, and there was this girl who I knew. She was like a neighbor of mine, and I fancied her quite a lot, right? Like a whole lot, But the thing is that she didn't really fancy me. She was just kind of like, I'm too cool for school, kind of. She was like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, one of those. All right.
Yeah. But she was hella fine, and she was like super cool and into anime and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, pretty cool. We could be friends.
Oh, I have a freaking schoolmate like that as well. Continue.
We weren't even schoolmates. We were just neighbors but the thing is, how we knew each other was because her brother and I were friends, and so we used to hang out all the time. And when I found out that he had a sister, because the first time I met her, we're hanging out in front of his house. We're sitting in front of the door. And we're talking about, I think we're talking Dragon Ball or something, we're just dudes doing dude shit. And she's walking towards the door, and I'm like, I'm talking to him, right? Because he's my mate, right? We're hanging out, right? Dudes doing dude stuff. I'm like, damn, that girl is cute. Have you ever seen her around here before? And this bitch, right? He's sitting next to me, and he's like, no, man, I haven't seen her before. Which door do you think she lives by? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where she's going. She's coming this way. right? And she just comes straight up to us. We're literally sitting at the side of his door, right? She comes straight up to us. She says, "Good afternoon." And then she opens the door and goes inside. I'm like, "You bitch. Like, you could have...
Top 10 anime betrayals right there.
I was like, you could have told me your
Bro,
sister.
how
like,
are you not an anime protagonist at this point? Like, honestly.
Could you imagine if I went... I can't remember what I said. I could have probably been like, oh my god, she is so fine. Bite my lips and everything. And he's there. He's just egging me on, knowing full well it's his bloody sister, right? And not just his sister, his younger sister, because he was older than me, like much older than me. So
right,
I was like, so we're having this chat, and he's like, yeah, she's which door is she going by, all this sort of stuff. Eventually, she comes to the door and she goes in, and I found it's a sister, and every now and then we get to hanging out, right? And I found she's really into anime as well, because he raised his sister right, she likes good shit, and she starts recommending anime to me because she watches way more anime than him at this point in time. So I'm like, okay, cool, right? And she recommends to me this anime, which is Elfenlied, right? And this was back in the day when like in Trinidad they used to have a lot of like pirated stuff. So they had like she got this
like CDs, you mean, right? That's where you're gonna go.
Pirated DVD. So she had a DVD
DVDs, yeah.
That she had burnt or something, or gotten from someone, or bought it somewhere, whatever. And it had like 2 anime on the disc. So it had Elfenlied and it had Airgear, right? So the way she described it to me, like she was like, oh, there's this other anime on there, Airgear. It's whatever. Don't worry about that. Watch this Elfenlied shit. This is the shit, right? I kid you not. I watched the Airgear and Elfenlied, and I was like, Airgear is the shit. I was like, I don't know what the frack is wrong with her. She don't know shit. Like, Airgear is the shit. And I got into Airgear, and I continued watching Airgear after that. And whenever she'd ask me about Elfenlied, I'd be like, oh, yes, all right. But I knew I didn't like Elfenlied. I was like, this anime is too morbid. Like, I watched that series, and I was like, what the frack? Like, it was mental. Like, Elfenlied was pretty, that's heavy. That's a really heavy anime, to be frank. A lot of blood, a lot of gore, a lot of bodies exploding. I bringing it back to Cyberpunk. You do see a lot of that in Cyberpunk. You see a lot of bodies exploding, a lot of blood, a lot of gore. And I think essentially in Cyberpunk, one of the things that I think there's a false sense of comfort in when you watch shows like these, where like your Game of Thrones, your Walking Dead, your that kind of stuff, where any character could die.
Someone's getting killed off. Yeah,
exactly. It's heavy. It's really hard to watch shows like that because you're watching it and you obviously you start liking characters because it's got good story writing, it's got good characters, good artwork, good everything. You want the characters to live, right? And then and they just keep killing people off. They just do it. Just ice your favorite character. Get rid of him. Get rid of her. Get rid of him. Get rid of her. And that's basically what happens in a lot of these shows. And so whenever I get to watch something like this, I always think to myself, like, I wonder if they're going to kill this character. And one of the things you find while watching the series is thinking, because like you mentioned, you really liked Mean, right? And then they iced Mean and you're like, I liked him though.
I really did. Yeah.
Or even like Rebecca's brother. Like, I didn't like Rebecca's brother, but when they iced him, that's when I realized it's one of these types of shows.
Actually, you know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought that as well. I thought that for a little bit, but then I told myself like, nah, I think it's just he's a kind of character that's killable, They
you think so?
forward the storyline. I didn't expect it to go that fast.
Yeah,
and since you've seen the rest of it, I have no idea what to expect for the end. The last, what is that? The last 3 episodes, I think I have.
You have 4. You have 4. If you're on 6, you have 4 to go.
Right, yeah, because
it's dead. But the thing is that, and that's the thing, you don't know if anyone's gonna die or not. And it's like Game of Thrones in a sense. Like, there are characters who obviously would live, and there are characters who they potentially may kill off, depending on what the director or whoever is thinking about. It's a possibility, essentially, is what it is. And I think because it's a possibility, it's nerve-wracking. And actually, in the comments we have example. My favorite character in Hunter x Hunter is Hisoka. My guy was unstoppable, and that's another anime series that when you watch Hunter x Hunter, like Hunter x Hunter is one of those anime series where if you watch it, you could put like characters die, characters get killed, and you don't know who's gonna get killed off or how or when or what. It just could happen. essentially.
Hmm.
And I think it makes watching those series to a certain extent exciting, but also nerve-wracking, because it's exciting because you can't really read what's going to happen. So it's very interesting in that sense, but it's also nerve-wracking because your favorite character can get killed at any moment. At a short minute's notice, that guy you like or that girl you like is gone. You know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's the same with this. It's the same with Cyberpunk, is that it does have that kind of vibe where you start off, and because like Main and his girl never thought we'd see those characters go on, and then boom bam, that happened. So you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I would have. If anything, I would have thought that Main would be the kind of character that would just. He would be there as a mentor for a while, and then he would get the gloves. Like he even told him, like maybe it was foreshadowing that I
figured
didn't
he'd
see.
get at the end or something, like end of the like Main would do something, and I also figured Main would go out in a more badass way.
But I think his way was pretty badass, though. To be fair,
nah, you see, why did
you remember when he like stood on top of that dude, had his big ass arm cannon, and just blast this dude in his face, and the dude was literally begging, like he was begging for his. He was like, "No, please stop." You know,
here's why I don't find it badass, right? I don't find it badass because Main lost his shit, right? Because of how, if he hadn't lost his shit and he went on a big fight, he was protecting everyone. It was his fault it happened.
Let me just say one thing, right? Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I thought he would be the guy to just take a bunch of bullets and then the super SWAT team. I'm not even sure because. I haven't played the game. Spoilers. I know. Chad, don't boo me. Don't curse at me.
I haven't played the game either myself. I just got it today.
Yeah, and with that being said, I thought Main would be the kind of character where, yes, I think him standing and heroically dying is such a badass thing. That'd be like, and his girlfriend lives and she lives on and all that stuff.
She carries on his baby, his robot baby.
Yeah, or whatever it is, you know. And then I'm just sitting and thinking, like, but I would imagine that to happen in a few, like maybe like next season or something. But it's like it just kicks straight in. And I know for those of you who probably watched the show already, you're probably thinking like, oh, this guy doesn't know what's gonna happen. And even you, Q, you're probably thinking, oh, this episode 7 and 8, oh man, bro.
To be frank, I honestly don't. I can't remember how this series ended. How it went after that, because I have pretty much terrible memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. So if you want to ask me like, oh, you know what, Q, like what happens in episode 7? I don't know what the frack happened in episode 7. I can't remember that. I remember what happens in the last episode, but what happened in episode 7, can't remember. Like when you mentioned you were in episode 6, I had to Google that shit. I had to Google it to remember what happened in episode 6, because my brain tends to wash shit out of my memory like not too long after I've seen it, because to make space for other stuff. So I literally had. For titties, yeah, pretty much, yeah. For, pretty much lady cheeks, you know. My brain has to be pure for lady cheeks, you know. I'm an innocent person, as you can tell.
Yeah.
You know.
Me too. I'm a virgin, by the way. Chap,
yeah, exactly.
Just
so you guys understand.
Any virgin havers, we can unite and do virgin things together.
Like, I don't know. Read books and stuff.
Read the Bible, yeah.
Yeah. And drink wine. Do virgins drink wine?
Alcohol-free wine, yes, I would.
Alcohol-free wine, yes.
Yep. I ain't putting no Henny in there and no getting all lit. You guys in your crazy. No, but going back to Main real quick on Cyberpunk there. I do have to say, Main overall, his intro when he just started like oh god.
Lucy the interrogation thing.
Dirty. Could be start with the and why I also think the interrogation thing, but all Main dies as well. So from start to finish as a character, I think Main is a great introduction, kind of like big dad, kind of big brother character. He really, he did the nice anime smile. I really feel like something about anime, and probably all of you otakus or weebs out there that are just really like, you'd like something about anime, and it's just something, and it's just the way they portray the smiles, the way they portray friendship and feelings and excitement, and you can tell that that other girl likes him, and you can tell that Lucy is like, she's keeping distance, and there's so much good stuff. But going back to Main, right? So going back to Main real quick on how it ended with him. For me personally, I feel like why Main was more badass than just dying defensively is that the heroic defense death kind of, I'll take the bullet for you, baby, and he just gets laid, like he just gets covered in lead, right? Right, like if you put him in the ocean, he'll just sink straight to the bottom. Like he got so much depth, but he died in like berserk rage mode. Like he was just, and if you, I mean, I'm gonna mention this, but if you played BDO, there's a class called Berserker, which is basically
a hand to put it in there.
Giant.
You just had to put it in.
I'm sorry, but I had to put it. But it's actually a class. He has a big ass hand cannon. I just thought about Main being that character, bro. And he just, like, the way he just killed, and you remember, like, he took the dude's body, he was using it as a shield, and then he made, like, whilst he's in rage mode, he's still sentient. Like, he made the pyre for his girlfriend. He put on the pyre with all the fire, you know, so she can burn, and they won't get anything from her, you know, like he went out with a freaking thing. And it was cool when our boy came back in. I keep forgetting his name though. David? Is it David?
I found David got a bit too selfish and silly in some, like, when I find the thing with, like, for example, with Lucy was there and she was like, you know what, like, David, like, stay with me, like, you can't do anything for me. And David goes in there like the piece of shit that he is, right? And his hands are shaking. He's like, Main,
but he knows that Main has the gear, bro.
I'll fight with you, Main. Let's do this. There's no way they were gonna do it. They weren't gonna win. Even if the two of them were, like, saying they weren't gonna win against those guys, you know. And he's in there like, I'll help you, Main. And his hands are shaking. And Main's like, nah, fam, go clap your cheeks over there. I don't need you right now. You know, like, you know what? You're not ready for this, right? And you know,
I would if I was in the main character's position, I would go. I would still go. Like,
I think at that point in time, once, like, that's one of the, because, and it's especially because of the fact that I, like, knowing what was going on with Main, that Main was losing his shit, that he wasn't like regular, like, if he was regular sane Main, yeah, you gotta save your boy, right? But
sure,
if it's Main tripping off, he could trip off and take you out in the process, right? You could be there trying to help him.
Yeah, he did shoot him in the face, and
exactly.
It just barely scratched his face, you know.
So to that extent, it's like,
which is very artistically and well done. But yeah,
because look at what he did to Kiwi, right? He lost his shit and pretty much smashed in Kiwi's face, right? So it's a thing where he knew what was going on with Main. He knew Main was tripping off. He had an idea about those things that happen, you know, and he still went in. Like, I can't understand characters like that. Like seriously, you know. I
have to say though, real quick, I don't think that's Main's fault. I wish they just emphasized.
You don't think it's Main's fault? They told
no. Listen, hear me out before you say. I think if they emphasized on or the presentation is what I want to say. The presentation of how they show the, like, psycho robot mode, because I think if you probably play the game, that's probably, like, very normal, or that might be like an effect. We don't know yet because both of us haven't played the game yet. But let's say that's a thing that's pretty normal. If you put too much gear in or whatever, you go psycho. I wish they showed it like this is, like, I guess, a con from the show, which some shows have this. For example, like Warcraft, the movie, like they really did that show dirty, for example. Just real quick on that. I obviously knew everything from start to finish, how it was going to play out. But if you're like a person who's never played the game or know anything about the books or anything like that, or anything about the lore, it's going to be hard. And I think Cyberpunk, as most things, I think even Akame ga Kill suffers from this. Apparently, I haven't seen the comic book, but or read the manga, I should say. But I do have to say that I think they should have emphasized it more instead of just one guy gets clapped and then it's like, okay, he's like a psycho.
But I think they've been speaking about it throughout the series though. Like the whole psycho thing was shown quite a few times from the beginning. And maybe it wasn't like plain, like, explained to you in that kind of like read it out to you. But I think that's what good storytelling is that you see it happen. Like the guy who shot the first Rebecca's
guy
brother.
ever.
The guy who shot Rebecca's brother, he's going crazy, and he shoots him, and then they take him out, right? He's going psycho, and then there's the guy at the beginning, he goes psycho, and so forth. So essentially, like, we already know that there's a point in time where once you have enough, and that's what good storytelling is. Good storytelling is not telling people what's gonna happen, unless, of course, you know, these people are not like, unless you're basically making shows for children or something, like 2-year-olds. But if you're making shows for adults, like, you should be able to sort of like drip feed breadcrumbs, and then people should be able to come to the conclusions that they come to. And I think the thing is that the more you watch in a series, as well as for example, just having it, what's the word I'm looking for? Just I guess rewatching it and stuff like that. Like, you know, sometimes you watch something and you watch a little bit and you watch a bit more and so forth. That will essentially, how can I say? That will essentially make more sense to you. Like, sometimes you watch something once and you watch the second time. I could see myself watching this a second time and spotting things I didn't notice the first time. Essentially.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
so I don't fault it for that, and I think also for people, I think it's a good marketing ploy to not put everything hand fed out to people in the show, because then it incentivizes people to go play the games, because that's what got me more interested in the game. I was like, bloody freaking hell, like I want to know more about this lore and all that kind of good stuff. Speaking of lore and all that kind of stuff, the comments, there's another comment that says, okay, so about Cyberpunk, what's the best thing about the story that makes the anime different? What's the best thing about it that is worth checking out? I would say for me personally, what's the best thing about the anime is that compared to most other anime, it's very raw. You know, it's this again, I'll liken it to watching Game of Thrones. It's very raw. They don't censor much of anything in it. It's just like they just tell a good story, essentially. It is emotionally heavy as the story goes on, like we mentioned in characters like Main and stuff like that. It does become quite heavy when you see characters like that not you know, like get iced. It is like, oh, bloody fucking hell. You know, so it does have like its heavy moments, but I think what the show does well is that it keeps the story going, it keeps the flow going throughout. So even if something like that happens, it's like, okay, but what next? You know, what next? What comes next? How do we continue this flow? And I do like that. I do like the fact that they keep it going. They keep it. It has a good steady pace and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I would wish though that they actually had a mission for like actually allowed you to sort of like replay some events from the show. But unfortunately, that's not the case in the game. The game is set placed a year after the show. So this whole show happens 1 year before the game. So it happens in 2076 and the game is 2077. So it's a year before. Yeah, like I googled it. Like it's literally a year before everything. The events of the game of the show happens a year before the game. So there are characters from the show that will appear in the game for people who play the game, but you won't really find things from the game, and other than like locations and stuff like that. That's about it. But pretty much there are some characters who will show up in the game. So yeah, that's the best I can give you. Like it's a year before, so you may have characters who you happen to see sometime later, and yeah, that's essentially how it is.
Also, for the question in chats, which you obviously already read, we both haven't played the game, so you know we really can't compare the anime to the game.
That's why I compared it to other anime. I just said
yeah.
That's why. Is it the same for you, or do you have a difference in what you would say so far from what you've watched? What's different about it?
Well, yeah, I won't be able to compare it to the game at all because I actually, for the most part, I don't really play single player games. I have to say though that Cyberpunk has really, like this isn't a marketing ploy or anything. This is just, us chatting, but the Cyberpunk show actually makes me want to play the game, and I'm a big, like MOBA/MMO fan, and I love my RPGs, like my MMORPGs, but I do think Cyberpunk as a whole right now seems so interesting. Like I love the game, but for me, as a non-Cyberpunk like hype boy fan or whatever you want to call it, I only knew that the game came out, like the game was super hyped. I know one of the main characters, or like the main like the guy who assists you, is acted and / also voiced as Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, I know all the memes, I know all the like the tech update memes, I know like the music, the playlists. I actually listen to the Cyberpunk playlist a lot. So if I do play the game, I probably would. Yeah, I probably would recognize a lot of the songs.
Okay.
And I never thought to get the show at all. Not even once. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I might watch someone. What I usually do is I'll probably go on Twitch and watch someone play, do like a playthrough, or maybe I watch a playthrough on YouTube or something. I never actually get the game myself. But this game, because of the show, because of the anime, really, I'm just sitting thinking, can I move in hyperspeed and then like go behind police and just shoot like 5 police in a row with like one bullet each right perfectly in their head because I'm moving so fast it just slows down time. Like
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking because it's like there's so much things I want to like try in the game. Then I'm like, oh, would it be like this? How do they look? And obviously, like anime looks different in the game, you know.
Mhm.
But Cyberpunk has like I know it has full nudity, like literal like
Yeah.
dicks and titties and pussy,
Mhm.
and or like, I should just say like genitals just in your face,
Mhm.
like literally just show me your genitals, you know, like that's literally the whole game as a whole.
Mhm.
That's probably like the main reason to even get the game. No, but I do have to say, uh, when they bring out something like this,
Mhm.
it's such a good thing for the game. And I'm thinking like, I know there's this what is this single player game that is very popular? I think it's Dishonored, where you can like use a power and it like there's like rats in the city. And I watched my
Mhm.
brother play it. I don't know if it's like is it Dishonored 2 or something, I think.
Mhm.
And then you have like different powers, and I think you can like slow down time.
Mhm.
And I think like those games are really cool.
Mhm.
I'm more of like maybe like a Tomb Raider kind of player where I actually played just purely because it's like Tomb Raider and it's like Lara Croft and the story and
Yeah.
it's about like the cinematic instead of like the actual how cool powers can be. But
Mhm.
Cyberpunk feels like I would akin it to Watch Dogs, but less GTA feeling, like less open world. But I'm not too sure because I have never played the game. So I'm really looking forward to either watching you play it or
Oh,
maybe getting the
I
game
will.
myself and playing it.
I will be
Um,
definitely playing it. Like I'll be putting up videos from Cyberpunk. I'm gonna just try to do a playthrough, a full playthrough of it, on the YouTube channel Simply Binge. So if you guys want to check that out, just go over to YouTube / Simply Binge, and yeah, just follow us on there, and you will be seeing me putting up stuff, and I'll probably just stream it, like stream my like like sort of episodically during the week, and just put up like like yeah, my experience to the game, because it like honestly, like I'm really keen on just getting into it, and after seeing the series and everything like that, and I mean it's hugely popular now. I have to say, like when you look at the sales for Cyberpunk on Steam after the series came, after the film came out, oh, it just skyrocketed. Like obviously Cyberpunk, when it initially came out, there was a lot of hype behind it.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
coming
for
from the
sure.
guy, the studio that made The Witcher and all that kind of stuff, CD Projekt Red has a lot of pedigree. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, CDPR working on this. This is gonna be good, right? And then the game did not really meet all of the hype, and I think that's one of the things when it comes to stuff like this, is that when you have too much hype for something, it never really, like, the hype is never really met. And this is why for
I
me.
have to ask though, real quick. Does the because I hear this a lot. I feel like no matter, and this is maybe my own opinion, but I think I heard some other YouTuber talk about this, but
Mhm.
it was something like the hype will never be met. Like I don't
Exactly.
know, like has there been a game, and this for you listeners as well. Think about this a little bit, but has there ever been a game
That matched its
where
hype.
yeah, like for you yourself personally, and for Chad as well, like our current live chat, and maybe in the comment section on YouTube,
I
like
think God of War on PlayStation.
God of War, the new one,
The
the God
new
of
one,
War.
I think God of War on PlayStation met the hype because people already had opinions for God of War, essentially, because they played the original God of War series. So a lot of the fans who went in, they were like, "Oh my God, Kratos is back!" And I think to a certain extent, even that it met the hype, but I think it exceeded it. I think the thing is, because God of War didn't have, it was a solid game. Like they put out a solid game. There were no like notable bugs that people mentioned in the game as it came out. There were no issues. Pretty much they didn't. And the other thing too is that they didn't promise a lot with God of War. Like they just told you there's a new God of War game. It's coming, la di da, and then they more or less just put it out there. And I think where people tend to have issues when they start to like, I guess, get upset and all that kind of stuff, is that welcome to the podcast, by the way. Nalu is one of my day ones. Nalu is usually on all my streams, and now he's on the podcast. Shout out Nalu. But yeah, as I was saying, essentially, the I think when you don't give too much information, but you give just enough to like give people a clear idea as to what you're putting out there, I think that's enough. I think when publishers and developers talk too much about their game, and they say too much about what they're planning to do before they've actually done it, that's when you have problems. That's when the hype builds too much and everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to be so amazing. I can't wait to play this. And then it just never reaches those requirements. It never meets those expectations, essentially. So
For me
it's,
personally,
mhm.
like World of Warcraft, Wrath of Lich King, when that came out. I wasn't super hyped for it, but I know all my friends were, and that got me more hyped. I was hyped because like it was like a contagious hype, you know. It was like, oh, and then they showed everything, and they didn't show like they didn't, you know. It was like months before the game actually came out, right? Because they had the trailers and all the advertisements, and that game blew the fuck up. Like there was a lot. There was like I wouldn't say there was any game that blew up as hard as that game did for its time, you know. And that game became the most played MMO expansion, you know, WoW expansion, sorry. And I don't think any game. Is there any game that Lost Ark beat it? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure. But that being said, I agree with you. I honestly think that, you know, all of like all of the hype that I would say developers start the hype, but all the promises can be troublesome. That is definitely a troublesome thing in terms of like what is happening to our current current games that are being on the market now, because that wasn't really so much that didn't happen so much when we were younger, you know, like back in the day, you know, we would get GTA like San Andreas, and like there was no hype behind it. It just came out, and whoever's mom or older brother had it on their PlayStation, you went by them and you would be like, oh man, I'm getting to play this, you know, like this 18 plus game, and I could play it and I'm only like 10 or something, you know, and then you play it and you're just like, oh, you could train your muscles, you can do this, and there's so much features in the game, and it's like, you know what I mean? So
I didn't actually even know that GTA had like age rating, like it was for adults, because I think my parents would tell me, oh, like, I don't want you playing that game, I guess, if they saw it. But I think back then a lot of people didn't know much about games. Like all games were seen as kid stuff. I think back then,
for sure,
right? But obviously there were more mature games and stuff like that. So people would, if your parents saw you playing GTA or something like that, they saw the things and they'd be like, nah, you can't be playing that. But I honestly don't think my mom had any idea about any of the games I played. Like I played Mass Effect as a teenager, and Mass Effect isn't for kids. My mom never batted. I went to tell my mom how amazing the game I just finished was, right? After I finished Mass, I was like, Mom, this game was awesome. It's got some really cool sci-fi shit. Because my mom was really into sci-fi stuff. So I was like, Mom, it's got some cool sci-fi. I didn't tell my mom, oh, wait a minute. You know, there's a bunch of, you know, adult, mature waifuing and stuff going on inside there. You know, characters making good old sweet loving and all that kind of, nah. I was like, Mom doesn't need to know that kind of good stuff. You think if my mom knew that, she'd be like, oh, yes, you can go and play that. It's amazing. No, she wouldn't. Like
both my parents are very like opposites. Like my dad is like if I have a toy gun, he'll literally throw it away. Like a toy gun, not like a fake toy gun where I'm holding it and it's replicating a gun, like a real life human gun. I'm talking about like a toy gun for my action man, you know, like for my doll.
My mom never liked guns either. Both my parents were like, they didn't want me playing with guns. They were like, that's not a toy. Whenever I'd go to like birthday parties and stuff, and like they'd be giving away guns, like my parents would be like, nah, like you can give him anything else, he's not taking a gun. Like you're not giving him any guns. And so I never had toy guns growing up. Like never. All my toys, I had superheroes and stuff like that, and I had like scientist stuff, you know, like chemistry sets and stethoscopes, and that was the kind of stuff my parents were okay with me having. But you know, if I were gonna, if it's gun related, nah, fam. They were like, nope, you're not having that. That's not for you. And I was just never allowed to have them. And as I got older, for me, it was like, oh, I get it. I get why, you know.
I still don't get it.
But, I think it's like it's sort of a thing, like they don't want me to get comfortable with those kind of stuff, because like a lot of people, when you know, in my old neighborhood and all that kind of stuff, you know, like lost their lives and all that kind of stuff because they got into that kind of stuff essentially. And you start off with this stuff that you played with as a kid. You start playing with certain stuff as a kid, and then you become an adult, and it's like you're so comfortable with it, like you just want to upgrade to
the real thing. Yeah.
Exactly, you know, it's like you start off as
like BB gun, and then
you start off as a kid, you watch some hentai, and then you're like, okay, I need some real anime titties. So yeah, it's pretty much
real anime titties. No, 2D chicks only. I'm preserving my virginity. I'm sorry,
preserve it, isn't it?
Chad.
I'm seeing some stuff from the chat actually. I'm seeing I can't get actually truly hyped for any game anymore. That's true, unless it's Nintendo exclusive titles. I don't actually get hyped for Nintendo exclusive titles, to be honest. I don't think anything gets me hyped anymore. I think every game that comes out, I am just mildly intrigued. Hey Q, other than Liara, did you waifu I'm assuming you're asking, did I waifu anyone else in Mass Effect? I did actually. Tali vs
Why would
Normandy.
everyone in my Mass Effect? What do you mean?
No. It was Liara Tassoni and Tali vs Normandy were the two characters I waifued in Mass Effect because like at first it was like I tried going after Ashley for a bit and then I was like, nah, Ashley's a bit too human. I was like, she's boring. Like, I want an alien waifu. This is an alien space game. Why would I go to human? So
I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, for Mass Effect? I
didn't even know. Yeah,
okay, so Mass Effect has like in the first Mass Effect series, it's like 3 games. The first 3 games, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Essentially, you're basically like a human what do you call it, like super soldier kind of guy, and you can choose your backstory as in whether you start off like as a peasant person from an Earth, or you start off in living on the colonies, or however you want to pick your storyline. And then once you start, it's actually very cyberpunk-ish. Essentially, it's kind of like a lot like Cyberpunk because you can sort of like put cybernetics in your body and all that kind of stuff in the Mass Effect games. And I think it was Cyberpunk before Cyberpunk.
I've heard of them. I don't even know what the game is about. I just know
they're awesome, essentially. So essentially,
but I have to say, if you're gonna waifu something, I would be in the same boat of why waifu a human when you can waifu something with like extra titties or arms or I don't know.
The alien girls in the show in the game, sorry, all have regular amount of arms and titties. So you don't have like far.
Okay, well, if she's blue, she's good enough for me. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, for me, it was like I can have real girls in real life. If I'm playing a fictional story game, look, I'm going for the alien titties. Like that's basically it. And I went with Tali. I went for Liara. And then Liara was waifu. But then how I ended up with Tali next was because in Mass Effect 2, Liara is not in the game in your party. You're basically with Tali and a bunch of other characters. And because Tali was one of the characters because when you meet Tali in the first game, she's this alien girl who is young, so you can't waifu her in the first game. Like she's like, I guess she's like just turning 18. She's like, she's from this species of aliens who they have like a Mormon kind of phase where they send them off into the galaxy and they have to learn about this stuff and then bring it back to their race. So she goes out in the galaxy, does her thing, but then Tali, like, she a badass though. She becomes a badass being on your crew. And because when she starts, so she's so shy and all that kind of stuff, and then she basically becomes so cool at in Mass Effect 2, and then Liara's not there. That you then like for me it was like, okay, she's the obvious choice. Like we knew her from the first game.
Apparently she's there in the DLC.
That's the thing. Nalu, I was gonna get to that, right? So Liara is not in the second game, except if you get the DLC, the Shadow Broker DLC. The thing though, right, about it is that I felt so guilty after Liara turned up because she does confront you about it. Like whoever you're with in the second game, she brings it up. And then you actually have to choose, and it's like, no. I did dump Tali after that, though. I went back to my Liara. I was like, no, I'm so like, Liara was first. She was first waifu, man. Like you just like she just wasn't there, and you had to waifu someone. So at that point in time, it was like, well, I'll waifu whoever I have. I'll take whatever options I got. Just once it's not a human. I was like, I don't want no plain boring human waifu. That'll be stupid. It's the same thing like in Cyberpunk. I think if I were to go for a Cyberpunk waifu girl, she'd have to have some cool cybernetics in her. Like I wouldn't want a plain Jane who's just like, I have no cybernetics. I am normal. Like, no, stay away from me. You freak. Like, nah, man, you need to be cool. So yeah.
So let's continue talking about some Cyberpunk stuff. Let's talk about a little bit about
who's your since it seems like you're thinking about it, who's your favorite character so far from Cyberpunk?
My favorite character, honestly, I like the lolly girl. I really like
Rebecca.
The lolly girl. I think I'm not into lollies, sorry.
But you would waifu Rebecca, you would.
No, I wouldn't. I would never waifu her.
Okay, you would.
Until she turns of age.
Until she turns of age. She is of age. Rebecca's not a kid.
Anne looks the part. If she's a short midget forever, like that's rough.
That is very. I like to think that knowing you, I always thought you were very, very progressive, and that you didn't judge people by their height. And hearing you
No,
say that
I'm
about
just shallow like that, you know. But no, but
it's-
she look, listen. There's one thing looking at it like I don't know. It's just if I see a short girl in my life, I'm not gonna say, oh, she's a lolly. She just is a short girl. But because they look small, they act childish, and they look childish. I don't know, bro. I mean,
Rebecca is slightly shorter than the main character, though. Like, I think it's because Rebecca's
look,
flat
I
chested,
think
isn't it?
them two together is cute. No, it's nothing to do with fat chested. But I mean, that doesn't help. You know, just emphasize that she looks more childish. But don't get me wrong. Like, I think what I like about her is that I like that she literally wanted to blast this dude so hard that she was willing to die. You know, that for me was why I actually like her, and I wish they showed more of her. I like that she has a crush on the main character. Like, you can clearly tell, but she does it in a childish way, and that doesn't mean I want to smash. By the way, because I'm sorry to say, I'm just not into lollies. Like short girls out there. I love y'all. You know, y'all are awesome.
Short
y'all
waifus are the bomb.
but waifus ain't it for me, and I don't consider short girls waifus. I'm sorry, but like, you could be a lolly and be a big grown ass woman in real life, and that's fine. Once you can like prove that you're not a freaking kid. But if you are always immature and you look the part and you're acting the part, I'm sorry, but that just
I didn't find Rebecca immature because, like, when I think Rebecca came off, like, she was just one of those, what do you call it? Like, you know, those loud, snappy kind of characters that just comes off as like she doesn't like she's very childish. She's tsundere. That's basically it. She's tsundere.
She's tsundere, right?
So she's because
showing
look
some tsundere stuff.
Look at Rebecca when he came to her house the first time. She had a gun to his head. She's like, "What do you want?" Gun to the face. She's like,
Exactly. That is pretty childish, though. I would say
that's not pretty childish. Rebecca is just badass. You can't handle that level of badassery.
But that's what I said. You asked me which was my favorite character. Who did I say was my favorite character?
And Rebecca's age is 20, by the way. According to the
she's too young still.
She's too young. She's 20, right? How old is the main character? Is probably too young. He's probably too young for her. Like, he wasn't he in school or something?
But I ain't looking to smash him either. Bro, y'all need to chill with that waifu shit, bro.
Let's check. David is in the show. He's 17, 18. He's 18. He starts at 17 and he goes up to 18. So let's say from episode 1 to 6, he's 17. And from 7 to 10...
Oh.
Pardon me?
Nothing. I haven't seen it yet. No.
Like,
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
The character will have
either way, like long story short, I like her. I think she's a cool character. I like that she's immature, but I look at the smash. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it.
Guess how old Lucy is then? Since you're like
Lucy,
Rebecca ain't getting enough for me.
Well, actually, the funny thing is with Lucy is that he asks her age and they skip it.
We do know her age though. Like, it is they have.
We do know her age.
They have listed her age.
They didn't say. He literally asked her age.
I know, but on her Wikia page, her age is there.
Yes. I understand.
So she's about 20. So she's the same age as Rebecca. Her and Rebecca about the same age.
I don't like Lucy either.
You don't like Lucy either. So wait, who you wife win then? You wife win what? Main's girl? What's her name again?
Honestly, I'd rather her.
Dorio?
I'd rather her. Honestly, straight up.
What about Kiwi?
Bro, Kiwi.
I
don't want to say it.
I don't want to say anything. Thinking about poor Kiwi. He's like, well,
no, I thought of Kiwi, man. We saw her naked, kind of naked. You know,
we have seen her naked in the show.
She has like the blue nipples as well, and I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, she does. She does.
Like, I ain't looking to smash her. I ain't looking to smash any of the chicks on the show, which, you know, I'm kind of happy for, because, you know, I'm trying to keep my, you know, my virginity and
your innocence, yes,
and my innocence.
Exactly. You know, correct, precisely.
Guys, welcome to the Innocent Podcast. Welcome. No, but low key, honestly, you know, if maybe like later on the line, if some characters, I felt like Lucy betrayed David again. Keep forgetting his name. Is it David?
David is the main character. Yeah, David is.
Yeah. So Lucy betrays David
at the beginning.
Super hard, like super harsh. Can we talk about that?
At the beginning?
I just want to say yes at the beginning. I really hated. I think
like
it was
Lucy.
Okay as a story, but I don't like her. Like, I physically cannot like her, even if she like gives us the whole goods
yeah,
and the whole package
she
and
she
everything.
didn't know him back then, right? She had no, there was no reason for her, especially growing up in those times, right? You can't trust nobody. Lucy had no reason. She owes David nothing.
She didn't
Owe him
trust
anything.
nobody, yet she fucking brought him to the moon. She did this whole VR thing.
That was just to basically just sort of like mess with his head so she could get him under. And so, look, here's the thing, right? If you're living in those times, right? Imagine like people who live in like tough areas and stuff like that. They do tough area shit, right? It's because they live in tough areas. You can't fault her for doing tough people shit. She just happens.
I ain't faulting her. I just don't like her.
Well, who told you not to like her, right? She is likable, right? Waifu her, bloody bastard.
Nah, good.
She needs to be waifued.
Not for me. You can get all of that waifuing.
Oh, I definitely waifu Lucy. I definitely waifu. To be honest, if like,
well, so who would you choose then? Since I wouldn't choose any of them. I probably choose main.
For me, it's Lucy and Rebecca.
Yeah, but who would you choose? Obviously, I know you would choose one of those two, but which one would you choose out of them?
Between the two, if I can't get both of them,
can I guess?
Let me hear your guess. Let's see where you go.
For sure, it's Lucy, like hands down, bro.
Now I'm tempted to say Rebecca has thicker thighs though. Rebecca has thicker thighs than Lucy.
Rebecca has thicker thighs. If you're, yeah, sure.
Rebecca does have them thicker thighs, so it's kind of like, oof, Rebecca though. But yeah, I think I'd probably go Lucy. You're right. I'd probably go Lucy.
I know.
But Rebecca, a close second though. She a close second. As and responding to the question, who's the husband in Mass Effect? That would be Garrus. Garrus is easy. That's not even a question. You can't even ask that question. No one else comes close to Garrus in Mass Effect. Like, come on. Try your best with that kind of question. It's obviously Garrus, like blah, 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 asking silly questions. Garrus is husbando in Mass Effect. No questions. Wow. You know what? Here's the thing though, right? The more I've watched the Cyberpunk thing, the more I've wanted to get like Cyberpunk shit. Like there's actually Cyberpunk futuristic sneakers that are like
I've seen them. They're like jagged and stuff, and
they've got springs in the sole and
springs.
Stuff.
Yeah, I've seen them.
They're like 200 and something quid on 100 and something quid on Etsy, and I'm like, I am so close to like, how do I justify this?
Bro, women judge you by your teeth and your drip, and the first drip they look at is your shoes. So I'm just saying.
These are some cool ass trainers though. Like, I mean,
I've seen them.
I could be tempted to buy this shit, even though the price 136 quid though. Ooh, that's kind of pricey. But
that will be pricey. Yeah.
136 quid is quite a lot for some trainers, but especially it's on Etsy. Like, I've never really bought anything on Etsy, so I don't know how you trust that. I would probably want.
Yeah.
I'd probably want to get this from Amazon or something. I trust Amazon. At least I can get my money back. I don't know about Etsy. Do you get your money back from Etsy?
Pretty sure you do.
Yeah, I've never purchased anything from there, so I don't know. But yeah, I'll take a hard pass. Cyberpunk is pretty chill. I have to say the anime has saved the game for me. Like, I think prior to watching the anime,
you never play it? Like, at all? Never? Or
I purchased the game. I am going to play it.
No. Yeah. But my question is, sorry, let me rephrase that. My question is, do you think you'd never played? Like, let's say you never saw the show or the show never existed, right?
I think probably not. Not like that. Like, I didn't think about it. Like, for me, it was more like, I had some friends who said good things about the series, about the game, sorry. And yeah. I watched a lot of media about it, and I was like, I felt about it in the sense like it was too overhyped, and there was no it was ever going to reach those heights. And so I generally had a sort of like a lukewarm feel towards it. And then once I actually saw the show, I was like, I am actually more keen to know more about this world. And especially because at the time when the game came out, there was so many bad press about it. So much bad press about it. People were talking about how there were bugs and graphical issues and all this sort of stuff. And
that's actually, sorry, one second. But that's actually the thing with a game, though, right? Like or gaming in general. It's like something comes out, and if it gets bad press, like it doesn't even have to be like not even reviewers like yourself, not even your reviews might even be able to say like, oh, you guys just need to like play it after the like if it gets a bad tag, like let's say the dreaded pay to win tag as we have in MMOs, for example. Once your game gets the pay to win tag, then your game is just dropping hard.
The thing though with I find with games that are like traditional games, they still do well, because the problem is that people have such crappy FOMO that they will buy the game before even seeing a review. A lot of people just pick up stuff without even actually watching a review for it. Like they'll pre-order everything based on hype. Like the amount of people I know who are just like, oh my god, must have this game. Hype, 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 hype. Whereas for someone like me, even if I pre-order something, I could justify it because I make content on it. At least I'm gonna make back my money somehow, right? So I put out a video about it. I make a podcast about it. I stream it. I'm making my money back. That how much ever amount I spent on that game, I will make it back. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the average person who's not doing that, who's just playing it for the fun of it, and they pre-order, like that's such a silly thing to do. Like I can't see myself doing that. So when Cyberpunk was announced and all that kind of stuff, and because I did already have really good, a really high impression of CDPR because of The Witcher, I did think, oh, this is a safe bet, but I still wasn't willing to pre-order it. Like I was just like, I will not take that risk, because even the best publishers, developers, or whatever have you, have failed us. BioWare was one of them. BioWare was amazing, and then they failed us with Anthem, and Mass Effect Andromeda, right? Those are two games that they did, two of their last two games, and they didn't even keep up to the I guess the expectations of what the fans expected from them. And so when CDPR announced Cyberpunk 2077, it was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I do like this idea. It's space and all that kind of stuff. And I think what also hurt it for me as well is the first person perspective. I do like my games in third person, and I was just like, oh bloody hell, I'll have to play
Cyberpunk only in first person.
I think they added a third person mod or something after. I don't think it's only first person now. I think when it first came out, it was only first person, because I think you can do third person now. Let me see. Cyberpunk 2020 77 THIR third person mod. Yeah, there's a third person mod. So you can play it in third person. There's actually a video from IGN that's up on their website, like on their YouTube channel, sorry, showing how you can play the game in third person. So essentially, I could send it to you, but you could basically play the game in third person. But me personally, I don't think that was there at day one. I think the main focus was that it was going to be first person, and that bothered me. Like I was just like, I really don't want to play this in first person, and I think that's kind of what scared me at first. But I was never going to really pre-order it. Like that was just never going to happen, and I never really pre-order games. The only game I've pre-ordered in recent time would have to be Pokemon. I've pre-ordered Pokemon, and that's after playing Legends Arceus. Like seeing how well Legend Arceus was adapted, like the gameplay style to Pokemon being rejuvenated in such a nice way, and then seeing what their plans were for Violet and Scarlet, the fact that they're continuing in that sort of direction, it made it easy for me to think, yeah, this is a good direction to go into. And I think with Cyberpunk, it was watching the anime, and I'm sure it's for a lot of people because the sales, I mean, it's third ranked top seller on Steam right now, and the game came out like ages ago, so being third highest seller on Steam right now, and you came out ages ago, and there's only one thing that connects it, that makes it logical sense as to why that is, and it has to do with the fact that the anime came out, and the anime is brilliant, so yeah. That's basically it. Anything else you want to add to that?
Honestly, for me, I just think if you have a game like Cyberpunk, and you like the crowd is such a big hype, right? I think honestly, if you as a consumer, right? So like regular ass, regular Joe. And you just want to get a game. I don't see a problem. I'm not trying to say like like what you're saying is like terrible or like people shouldn't pre-order games. But if in my opinion, if you're not like strapped for cash and you have money to just like drop on some games, and you just think they're good because you trust the developer, like you said.
Mhm.
Developer has some good name, has a good name behind them. They got pedigree, as you say, right?
Pedigree.
And I'm gonna be using that from now on. I feel like that's such a good word. But if you have that kind of like the all like no one, in my opinion, should what's the word I'm looking for? Like judge someone for their purchases. It's their own money.
Yeah,
Like
true.
people should spend the money on what they want. I love spending money on like MMORPGs.
Oh, I
I
judge
think
you.
I need to. Yeah, you can judge me if you want, but like for me, in the end, it's my money, and what I do with it is just like if I ain't like if I ain't like I guess human trafficking human trafficking or something like that, then I think it's okay, to a degree, like just buying games or buying, I don't know, maybe not buying a lot of alcohol might be good, like not going full like alcoholic god, 'cause I have a kid now, but I don't drink a lot much alcohol anyways, so that's not a problem. And just not generally being like a complete asshat with money, like in terrible ways. I think